Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. The Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Monday, June 9th. We've got a Friday the 13th coming up this week, and everybody's got a Rise Up Morning Show mug hanging out in the studio. Evan here, hanging out with Will, a.k.a. Flipper, a.k.a. Dolphin_Coin_Guide. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good because I can finally go live on TikTok again. I'm pointing, if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, pointing to my phone that has the TikTok stream. And sorry, I need my hands back. This thing is too short so that like the arms are too short so that when I use it, it's like pulling at my neck.
So it like mimics the actual dolphin experience, probably.
Yeah, it mimics the actual dolphin experience, probably. But I can finally go live on this dolphin account that I created. Quick a little update there. TikTok support is the worst. They are not good. They are awful. They're very unhelpful, but they have confirmed that my original account was unbanned, but now it's still broken, and I'm in this continuous loop of them being like, well, just do these steps. I did those steps. It's still broken. Oh, okay. Did you do these steps? Yes, I did those steps, but it's still broken. Oh, okay. Did you do these steps? I'm like, ah.
Oh, no. The loop of customer service hell.
I know. Yeah, it's just like automated customer service hell. And I've tried just being like, operator, someone please. So we'll see. If that account is gone forever, c'est la vie. We will build a new, stronger, mightier, and far more aquatic.
Thank you very much for the update and the reminder to never do anything to cross TikTok or anybody in the comments. If you're watching on TikTok or YouTube or Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or listening sometime in the future to the podcast recording, hello, we hope your candles are green. Please leave us a comment and let us know if you have any crypto questions, a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you understand the blockchain space. And I'm so excited to tell you that in just a minute, we're going to get to hang out with our friend Zara from Metana. Check this out. Will, Metana is equipping builders to step into the world of blockchain. We have never had anybody like this on the show before who is building like a solution, a boot camp solution to help people learn how to do blockchain development, because it's very different than building traditional software apps. And I'm excited to talk to Zara, but first I did want to let our folks know that our friend Alex is not on the show today, and he's taking care of something with his family. One of their dogs, he was sick, and so they had to put him down. Kirby, a living legend in his own time, and my intent is not to rug Alex. I did not ask him for permission to share, but I thought he would want you guys to know too. And if you want to support Alex, then chat in the comments about how to do this. But probably a meaningful way would be to think of him lovingly and then to check out Lovable Paws Rescue. If you don't know Alex's Lovable Paws lore, man, let me turn you on to something. Lovable Paws is at the border of Georgia and South Carolina and is a wonderful, beautiful space for like dozens of dogs, more dogs than Alex has at his own house, who don't have a home, who find themselves without one suddenly. And the people at Lovable Paws not only have great space to feed and care for these animals, but they work really, really hard to find them permanent, forever homes. And check this out, they accept cryptocurrency donations. Alex has made it super easy for you to donate with whatever your favorite currency is. You could probably support Alex and send him a meaningful gesture by going to lovablepawsrescue.org and then clicking on the donate now button. They've got a little badge that says donate with crypto. Check it out. And he'll be back on the show tomorrow. So don't have to make a big deal out of it. I know he wouldn't want that, but I would be remiss if I didn't give you the opportunity to let him know you care, because Kirby was a big part of his family. So that's where Alex is. And Will, that means that we just get to have a total battle of the soundboards, basically, right?
Oh, baby, this train's rolling out of the station right now.
Yeah.
Evan and Will as conductors on this bitch. It's going to be one hell of a ride today, and we're going to have Zara from Metana hopping on, and she's going to be like, who the hell are you idiot? And why the hell am I sharing internet space with them? Also, dolphin costume very, very confused. But the vibes are not. The vibes are solid. Save your crypto, buy some stuff, take some profits, donate to dogs, save dogs everywhere, everybody.
Guess what, man?
This is a gross misrepresentation.
Alex is still here in spirit, and I meant to tell you, yesterday we hooked Alex's soundboard up, and he has a totally different, like, stock music bumper, and his is kind of like a harder rock and roll kind of vibe. I love the idea that we could all have these competing soundboards now that we're like living in the 21st century, producing a fake radio show.
Except I feel like Alex will just begrudgingly ever hit any of those sound buttons.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Oh.
Although I have to tell you, his face did light up a little bit when he got to press the button. So maybe we got to convert him in.
It's a bit of a rush. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a bit of a rush.
You're telling me there's a chance.
So we'll see what happens when Alex comes back to the show. But for now, my friends, that's where the state of things is. And I have got Zara coming on in just a second to save us from ourselves. Are you ready for this? I wanted to remind you, though, first, that the Rise Up Morning Show is powered by Polygon. Our friends at Polygon are doing the most to make their presence felt this week. Nil, shout out big time, has connected us with folks from Katana, from FLS. We have got some incredible guests lined up this week, including Dr. Adam Lowe, the co-founder of Arculus. So shout out to Polygon for powering the show and making it possible. Katana is coming on. Somebody give me a fact check, brother. I'll have to follow up on this.
Fact check yourself, brother.
Katana is coming Wednesday, and I'm pretty sure FLS is coming tomorrow. FLS you might recognize from Step In, other projects around the Polygon ecosystem, and it'll be just a great chance for us to continue the deep dive we've been doing in how to get involved in DeFi, how to stake your Pol tokens, how to earn rewards in their ecosystem, and ask good questions, get to know each other better, that kind of thing. Only possible on the Rise Up Morning Show because of Polygon, so thank you very much. What do you think, Will?
We're correct. It is Wednesday.
Yes. I love it when my subconscious brain does me a favor like that. What do you think? Should we get into this? Should we bring our friend Zara up?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to our friend Zara from Metana HQ. She's a delightful friend. And now she's a friend of the show. Zara, thank you so much for making time to join the Rise Up Morning Show. How are you today?
Thanks so much, man. Thanks for the opportunity. Doing really good today. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Now that
As you can
William
see.
said this.
now that I'm caffeinated and in my dolphin costume, everything's great.
Yeah, Will, I was just going to say, saw it before, seeing it again. Love the costume. I'm actually kind of inspired to get one myself.
Thank you. My goal is that at this critical juncture where crypto TikTok and crypto Twitter are trying to find a bridge between themselves, I hope to be a wall between that of just costumes to keep
Just preventing.
crypto TikTok as dumb as it possibly could be. That's my goal.
Hey, man, keeping it light, keeping it light. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Zara, I've sent the Metana account on TikTok an invitation. So if you see it, feel free to join the stage. And if not, just remind us what the handle is so that we can get folks to follow you over there. Metana HQ is the ticker on X, and Metana.io is the website if you want to play along at home. But Zara, I'd love to know more about what you guys are doing there and why it might matter to the everyday people listening in our audience.
Sure.
Tell me more.
Cool, of course. So basically to tell you guys about Metana and about what we do. So our vision basically is to start connecting people with better careers in tech. I myself am someone who's not really been in tech before. I'm not really a developer. I've been holding a lot of tech adjacent roles, of course, in marketing and community management and what have you. But something that means a lot to me that I share quite deeply with Metana is the fact that there's so much potential out there in the world of tech and in the tech space, and especially in the world of Web3, that people just either don't have the skills to tap into or don't have the knowledge to tap into either. So we found that, with all the opportunities that are out there, we need to find some kind of bridge for people to be able to cross over and get into that space. Something that's secure, something that's safe, and something that's trusted. So we actually created Metana as this bridge. Education is something that we really use as a catalyst to get people to the kind of careers that they really want. Especially now with the way that the tech space just evolving, with words like vibe coding being buzzwords that we hear every single day, and with there being some new evolution literally on a daily basis, it's becoming more and more appealing for people to actually want to become developers or want to get into the space. It's becoming, I think it's garnering a lot more people, and there's a much larger audience now of people who are just really intrigued by everything that's going on. And like with most things, with everything that's evolving on a daily basis here, everyone kind of want to know is how they can do their part. You know, how can I be a part of this? You know, is there anything that I can contribute? And we see that in a lot of people. We see that in a lot of people who aspire to make a change. We see that in a lot of people who have crazy ideas of innovation, but they just unfortunately don't have the platform or the know-how to make that a reality. And where Metana actually comes in is it offers you, when I keep saying bridge, and I keep saying that education is a catalyst, it offers you exactly the right set of technical skills as well as the right set of industrial knowledge to take you from practically zero to hero. So we've actually had a lot of people who've enrolled in our boot camps, who are people who come from completely different backgrounds. So these are people who have absolutely zero knowledge of how to write a single line of code, but they're somehow intrigued by the space, and then they find a way to actually get into it. So the way that our boot camps are structured is we make sure that there is no part of it where you might feel like it's too overwhelming, because when you think about getting educated in tech, it can seem very daunting and it can seem really intimidating. Especially if you're someone like me, and when someone says that they're a developer or a programmer and you just see a code editor full of just lines upon lines of just numbers and letters and colors and brackets, and you have no idea what any of that means, it can dissuade you from actually getting into the space, because what developers... Exactly. And what developers actually do is not just write random lines of code. It's actually quite beautiful if you think about it in a poetic sense. You're like creating something. And a lot of people are absolutely obsessed and in love with the idea of creation. And what better way to do that than to get into this new genesis is what we would like to call it. Okay. So to make that a reality, we created these boot camps, which are not just for people in Web3, but also for people who just want to become developers, especially now because it's something that a lot of people are looking into. It's an unfortunate truth, but a lot of people out there who are probably not in tech are really worried about their jobs, which is a very fair fear to have. And I suppose that the thought process is, look, I mean, tech seems to be at the frontier of everything that's going on. Maybe it's better to be the brains behind the technology than the people at the mercy of it. So a lot of people are starting to figure out how they can start learning these skills. They're exploring new options online. What are the resources that they can dig into to try and educate themselves on this? And the thing with self-learning is that there is kind of no one there to hold your hand. And it works great for some people. Like, we've met a lot of people, and I've spoken to a lot of people personally as well, who are fantastic developers, completely self-taught. And it works great for some people who are self-learners. But that being said, there are so many different types of learning out there. Everyone learns in a different way. Evan, you've probably learned in one kind of way. Will, the way that you learn might be something entirely different. I know that I'm very haphazard when it comes to learning new skills. I like a little bit of everything. And there are some people out there who, in as much as the resources that they find are great, they do need a helping hand. They need someone who's going to set them on the right track, someone who's going to say, you're going in the wrong direction, let me course correct, and someone who's going to be able to give you feedback on a daily basis. So what we did was we identified that it's probably not practical for everyone, both in terms of finances as well as in terms of time and lifestyle, to spend 4 years in a computer science degree. And it's probably also not feasible for people to learn entirely by themselves online. So what if we found this beautiful little middle ground where we give them all of these resources. We structure these projects for them to work on. We make sure that it's hands-on learning and not just tutorial after tutorial after tutorial. And we also plug in experts in the industry who have 15 plus years of experience working at companies like Google and Amazon and Microsoft. And we create these courses along with them, and we get them to be the instructors as well. So you're basically getting access to this vast wealth of knowledge in terms of things that you can create alongside people who have had years upon years of experience creating those things. And that's kind of how the Metana boot camps were born. It was born from a place of wanting to educate more people on how to get into tech through the boot camps. And then we also went a step further, of course, with Web3, because a common misconception, and this is something that, I was a victim of this misconception as well a couple of years ago, is when I first started hearing this term Web3. And immediately, I mean, if you were just getting into the space, what do you immediately associate Web3 with? Immediately.
Well, a lot of our audience would say the scams, the schemes, the speculation.
The FTX.
Yeah.
And then you start digging a little further, you start learning more, and then you hear about Luna, and you're like, oh no, it is all just.
Yeah, it almost seems like the more you learn right at the start, depending on where you go. But let's be honest, most places, the worse you feel about it until you say, I'll just come back later.
Yeah. So it's a lot of very negative connotations to the term Web3, because like with most things, I mean, yes, there are certain vulnerabilities that can always be leveraged. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of the misconceptions out there is because of the fact that there just isn't sufficient education on what Web3 is and what the potential of it is and how it's actually changing the ecosystem that we know right now. Another misconception that we actually came across was the fact that the moment that you say, hey, have you thought of a career in Web3? People would say, hey, I don't know anything about crypto trading. I don't know anything about crypto mining. And it's not just that, it's not just becoming a trader. It's not just becoming a miner. You can become a blockchain developer. You can become a smart contract developer. You can become a DevRel specialist. You can become a community manager. If you aren't a developer or you aren't a coder, but you really like the space, like myself, you can become all of those things. The unfortunate fact was that a lot of people didn't know that these kinds of things existed. And these are people who are not actively reading all the tech newsletters. These are not people who are going for conferences. These are just people who've heard things out there and just haven't dug deep enough to realize that there's an absolute, completely different world of potential that lies there. And that's when we thought of actually structuring these boot camps where people can come in and get the skills that they need and actually pursue careers that, number one, are steady, are secure, are future-proofed, and also pay them really, really well at the end of the day so that they can kind of live the kind of lifestyles that they truly want to pursue. And did I mention also, I mean, when I say boot camps, this is not something that you need to dedicate years and years to.
Right. The thing that appealed to me about this was that it was a part-time thing. If the people who saw the screen share were checking out on the website, I just know that this is something, and that's what appealed to me when you told me about it, was that this is something that's meant for somebody to do, not necessarily instead of college, but maybe you went to college, you prepared for a job, you found yourself dissatisfied, and you want to make a pivot, but you don't have the resources to get another 4-year degree. You don't have the time to start another full-time educational program. So I really liked that this was oriented towards people who had the ability to make a part-time or overtime commitment. Yeah. And also I really liked that a lot of it was oriented towards people who had never coded anything at all before. Yeah. Yeah. And Evan, you're absolutely right. Sorry, you were saying something, Will.
Oh, no. Finish. I have an additional.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I mean, yes, we do have people who are existing blockchain developers who just want to increase their knowledge base. We also have existing software engineers who come into our boot camps. And for them, we actually have the advanced versions of the boot camp. So we have an advanced Solidity boot camp and we have an advanced software engineering boot camp as well, which is basically it acts as a career accelerator for people who think of it as like a top-up. They want to enhance the skills that they already have. So that's there for them as well. We haven't forgotten about them. But our primary audience are people who actually do want to change their lives, because, believe it or not, we have people in our boot camps who are farmers. We have people in our boot camps who have been truck drivers and dishwashers, who've come from these blue collar backgrounds where they really strive and they really want something different. And they took the chance on themselves and they took that risk and they jumped into it, and they're doing really, really cool things now. We have people who've gone on to become DevRel specialists for companies like Lisk, who are traveling all around the world now and doing amazing things, connecting with amazing communities and doing a lot to bring more people on chain. We've had people who've come from the backgrounds of like finance and like mergers and acquisitions, and who've done this complete 180 in their career, and look at where they are now. One of our recent graduates, actually, she was a high school teacher. She was teaching math and science. And she was teaching for, I think, somewhere between 13 to 18 years, if I'm not mistaken. And then one day she just thought, I want to do something different. And she actually, while in our bootcamp, she founded her own blockchain company as well, her own startup, which was something that was really rewarding to see, because one of the most beautiful things about our job is that on a daily basis, we're actively seeing people's lives change, and we're actively seeing the impact that we can make. And that's not something that you get to see all the time. Not a lot of people have a product where they can actually see the change that it's making or the impact on people's lives. So that's something that's really cool. But yeah, a lot of people do jump in when they want to, completely change their careers. And they want to do it on, maybe some of them aren't ready to give up their full-time jobs as yet, which is more than fair. The world that we live in is not one where you can just up and go and expect everything to be okay. So some of them, we do actually encourage people to do the degree full-time, but there's also the part-time option. If people want to put in 20 hours a week, maybe that's more than feasible. We've had a couple of people who've actually done the degree or done the course with us, and life gets in the way, right? There'll be a family issue, there'll be a financial issue, there'll be something unfortunate that hits you, you run out of money, there's something that just is completely unforeseen. And they have asked us, is it possible for me to take a break? I really want to learn more and I really want this career, but I just need a break. So we've had that too, where people have just taken breaks and then they've come back. And yeah, maybe it doesn't take them 4 months. It might actually take them 6 months or even a year, but that's all according to what they want to do. It's based on, their lifestyles and the things that they need to prioritize, sometimes over themselves. But there's so much freedom for them to come back and, pick up where they left off as well. So yeah, when it comes to pivoting, that's actually where a lot of our vision stemmed from, is that we want to make that pivoting your career is such a scary thing to do. It's terrifying. Right. You spent probably decades of your life specializing in something, and then one day you realize it doesn't make you happy anymore, and you just want to change everything. And while that can seem, it's something that's really easy to romanticize. And it's something that can seem really cool. You have this whole little montage of a movie playing in your head, but at the same time, it's terrifying, because there's always that fear of failure. There's that fear of, what if this is a mistake? Am I doing the right thing? Can I trust the information that I'm getting? Can I trust the people who are leading me on this path?
Right.
And we realize that it's scary. So that's why we actually have the teams that we have who are working with us. We make sure that they are giving our students a lot of personalized attention, because everyone's story is different, everyone's life is different, everyone's learning style is different. So we make sure that the career advisors that we have, as well as the instructors, give everyone a lot of hands-on, very personalized attention, so that nothing flies under the radar and there are no little mistakes that kind of go missing and that people don't see. So we just want to make that whole transition a whole lot more seamless. And there's a lot of other facets that we've also plugged on to make.
Sure.
To kind of
Can I pause you though?
Yeah.
Would it be okay?
Yeah, sure.
Because you've shared a lot of information with us, and I know Will had a couple questions, and some folks in our audience had some questions too. And I
sure.
want to give them a break just to catch up to some of the stuff you said because it's very exciting.
I'm sorry, I'm a yapper.
Don't be sorry. No, it's okay.
I will just yap.
I'm glad though. You clearly have the right job because you can share about this like thoroughly, concisely. And what I like about it is that you had said yourself you're not a technical person, so I think people get to see through you like somebody who has been on this journey. You're not a developer, but you've become an advocate for developers. And I think that's just as important and just as cool, right, Will?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what I wanted to ask was based off of my own personal experience trying to take an online course coding. So for anybody who doesn't know, I worked for 7 years in AI machine learning, but I was in sales, right? I wasn't an engineer in any way, shape, or form. I don't have that brain. Very much so on the opposite side of that spectrum. And but I took a course to try to learn how to code SAS. I took a course on how to learn Python. And then I actually got into some Web3 specific stuff where years and years and years ago, I took Ivan on Blockchain's course, big YouTuber, crypto in space.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I took some of his courses, and I took some of his basic stuff that was like, how could it like revolutionize basic certain industries? It was just like the intro to crypto and blockchain. I took that, and then I was like, oh well, let me try coding here because he's a dev himself, and so I was like, oh, let me try to learn how to do Solidity. I started doing it, but like my brain doesn't work with code, and so I very much so could have used hand-holding because through the self-help, I was just there, just like casually drowning as I just slowly submerged in a sea of code that was not working. And I had no idea.
Love how you're working the puns in there while you're in your little dolphin costume.
Yeah, the sea of code, we saw it.
Honestly, I didn't mean to, but as I did it, I did say in my head. And I was really having a hard time. So I wanted to learn more about how the hand-holding really works. And that also feels very different to me from like more traditional competitors from like Udemy. Udemy. I always forget how to pronounce it. So I'm curious to hear more about Udemy. So I'm curious to hear more about those two things, which is what is that hand-holding experience like along with the self-service? And then also, how are you kind of different to Udemy and other things like it?
Sure. Yeah. So initially when I was telling you about what we do, right? So we are, rather than it being like, oh, here's a boot camp, do it. It's career first. So when we start off with the entire process, or rather if you're a student and you're coming to us, your entire process actually starts with a career quiz. So you do the career quiz so that you can understand what works, what would probably be best for you. And we also understand the kind of vision that you have in mind. So that's where it starts, in the sense of we're not just throwing you into the dark and you're not throwing yourself into the dark either. At the very beginning itself, like before you even have a chat with anybody on the team, you're already kind of thinking along the lines of what kind of career do I want. Once that has been set, and it doesn't necessarily have to be set in stone. This is something that, and all of us have been here, I think, this is something that's constantly evolving and constantly changing. You might come on board wanting to be just a full stack developer, and then you might realize, no, I kind of want to get into blockchain. And then, your path shifts a little bit. So after you've done that part of it and you've kind of set your mind on what you want to do, then you have a chat with our admissions team, and they will just have a very casual conversation with you to understand what your goals are, what kind of background you come from, what your lifestyle is, what your priorities are, and a little bit just about you as a person, because that kind of helps us also to understand the amount of, number one, time dedication that you can put in. It helps us to understand in terms of like your job, and what you're doing for work, whether the time commitment of like 20 to 40 hours a week is feasible, and how we can maybe understand from our end what your particular learning journey is going to look like. So we have these one-on-one conversations before admissions with every single person who applies for one of our boot camps. And once we've had that conversation, and once all the other specifics are ironed out and they decide to enroll in one of our boot camps, then they get all the course material that they need. And then we start with, there's a lot of instructor-led content. So it's not where you just have to kind of do the course entirely by yourself. You will have weekly conversations, sometimes bi-weekly conversations, sometimes it's even more than that, depending on what your particular requirement is. Because like I said before, our boot camps are very project based, so you're actively working on things. So you're probably going to need, like, I mean, if you're someone, especially if you're just starting out and you're a beginner, you're probably going to need a lot of like, hey, is this correct? Hey, is this correct? Hey,
Exactly.
hey,
That's
what
what I
about this? What about this? I think I did this wrong. So we have our instructors. You can set up calls with them. They will set up calls with you. You absolutely have to do it with them. We don't fully encourage people to kind of just go at it by themselves, because of the fact that that's just kind of writing yourself up for failure. So we have our instructors who will do weekly and sometimes bi-weekly sessions with you, go over your code, go over your project, and teach you everything that you need to know, and do a lot of course correction. Because a lot of times people veer off course, especially at the beginning, and sometimes a little bit later too, and sometimes you get a bit confident. You're like, I think I know what I'm doing, but in fact you don't. So then they course correct you and make sure that you're following the right path. So that's something else that they also do. We also have,
I just want to quickly just provide like a bumper sticker for everything that you said, and I want you to let me know if this is correct so far, because this is what's in my mind, which is like, Metana offers a customized self-learning experience with guardrails, and those guardrails are the conversations you can continuously have with your instructors, and you actually have access to people you can talk to. So that to me is what you're saying, and that to me is a very different experience than the things that I've experienced in the marketplace for this.
Zara, I think we lost your. Oh, there we go. We got you now. Just
give me a second. My earphones just died, so I have a bit of an issue with my sound.
Take your
Give me
time.
a second to just quickly fix this.
Go ahead. Let me take this second to say to our friends in the audience who've got a couple of really good questions here that I see them and I will ask them. Tori said, am I about to carve out 3 hours a day? Because this sounds really cool. One of the things that really impressed me, I was very skeptical. We're always skeptical when people reach out to us. We're like, wait a second, how'd you hear about us? Why do you want to come on the show? That kind of thing. But when I got to talk to Zara, can you guys see why I wanted to have Metana on the show? Like, Will, this is a great fit for us. One of the things that I wanted to just highlight for you was I was like, okay, but what's the proof in the pudding? Because anybody could come on and talk well about their outcomes and stuff like that. But Zara sent me this really great slide deck, and I just wanted to read you a couple of stats from this. That so far they've had 33 cohorts of developers. They've had 132 total students. So the class size is small. Like the student to teacher ratio is really good. They're growing pretty quickly. They grew about 50% in the last year alone. And their students, many of them have like degrees, bachelor's degrees, but most of them have never coded before. They're from all around the world. They are mostly beginners. 80% of their students have no STEM background, have never coded before. And of the 87% of people that graduate, 96% of them are offered a job. So that was cool to me. And I also said, because that was my question too, is like, how do you track this? How do you follow up with this? And they're like, well, Zara said, we talk to people after the boot camp or throughout the boot camp or once they complete it just to see what kind of stuff they're doing. And I was like, okay, all right, okay. But are they Web3 jobs? And she was like, yeah, they're Web3 jobs or they're Web2 jobs or they're contract based, but they're developer jobs. And they've had people get hired at like, names you would know, Algorand, VeChain, places all over our ecosystem. So I was impressed by that. And I was impressed by some of the testimonials that people had too, because like as a guy like you, Will, who at one time wanted to learn coding, took a course that was self-directed and then got totally discouraged, I was like, okay, maybe there's someone else in our community who could benefit. Because, this is not like something that we would teach. It was naturally why I wanted to have Zara on. Speaking of which, let me see really quickly. Just Zara, can you give us a check? Are you back with us?
I'm good. I can hear you guys. Can you all hear me?
Well,
yes,
you can hear
we
you.
Okay, go ahead. Will, you were going to add a thought, brother?
Yeah, what I was going to say is, because there were some other comments too in the chat where like, oh, hey, like you can vibe code. Like, like what You have AI that can code so much of this, like it's all going to be AI. So for my working in the space, like I worked with Morgan Stanley, worked with the Toronto Stock Exchange, worked with a number of financial healthcare institutions. I also worked with the national healthcare system for all of Canada, and a number of other very highly regulated companies with AI machine learning specifically. And particularly in heavily regulated industries and the government, you will always have people. You're always going to have people. It's never going to be entirely AI because you need to have these regulatorily compliant guardrails in place. You need somebody who is checking on your AI, even if you're not in a regulated industry, even if you're in Web3, which is kind of still a little bit wild west. It's becoming less so as each day passes. But even just CPG or manufacturing or retail or any of these traditional companies too that are not heavily as regulated as healthcare, finance, and government, you still need people checking the code from the AI because AI still makes mistakes. You guys have seen plenty of articles from ChatGPT making mistakes or starting to lie to people and all these interesting things. You need these guardrails in place, and some of that needs to be people, and those people need to know what the hell they're doing. Right? So you're always going to have people who need to know how to code. Maybe as time goes by, there'll be less and less of a need, as AI gets better and better. That's true for almost every single role in industry, but you still absolutely need those people. So it's still important to have people learning these skills. So I just wanted to add.
Zara, I have a couple rapid fire questions for you from friends in the audience. Palmer wants to know about system requirements. He didn't see anything about system requirements on the website, and also wanted to know whether the bootcamp is a totally online resource we log into, or if you've got to have a video call, if you've got to download something, a piece of software. Can you explain more about that?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. Thanks for the question, Palmer. So basically, yes, it's something. Our bootcamps are entirely online, primarily because of the fact that our students are very globally dispersed. So we have people coming in from the States, we have people coming in from Europe, people coming in from different parts of Asia. So because of that, we felt like being online makes the most amount of sense. So it's entirely online. And in terms of whether it's something that you can log into, interesting question. We're actually building something like that. At the moment, we do have a lot of resources, and a lot of the interaction are through calls. Yes, so there will be a lot of video calls. If you're not comfortable with video, that's fine. You can just do voice or audio calls. But these calls will be with the technical instructors and also with our career advisors. So before my earphones decided to die on me, I was just about to get into that and tell you guys that we also have career advisors, which is part of something we have called the job camp, which is built into the boot camp. Where you will have, again, weekly or bi-weekly sessions with our career guidance counselors who will kind of sit with you and ask you how things are going. So they kind of play this role of like, hey, how are you feeling? How's everything going? Plus, here's everything that we can do to really optimize your chances of improving and getting the kind of job that you want. So they will also be doing calls and all with you. So there's definitely a lot of communication because we're very communication heavy, because we think that that's what makes things work. So yes, there are a lot of online calls that will be happening. In terms of the system requirements, so once you actually enroll in our bootcamp, and you guys can also check out our website, and all of our curricula are available there, so you can check that out and see. Once you enroll, you will be given kind of a breakdown as to everything that you will need to download, because you will need a couple of code editors. You're probably going to need, as the course continues, we also want to make things a little bit more future focused. So we do embed certain bits of AI learning into it as well. How you can use AI to learn, how you can use AI to optimize your fundamental skills, because we teach the fundamental skills first, very important. But then we also teach you that these are other skills that you need, like with prompt engineering and the like. So for example, once you go a little bit further on in the course, yes, you're going to have to get a couple of AI tools ready, and you're going to have to work with a lot of different languages as well, especially in the full stack bootcamp. So these are the primary requirements that you have, and of course you're going to need a laptop with a good, with sufficient internet. You're probably going to, what I mean is you're going to need a laptop that can handle all of that, or a PC that can handle all of that. You're also going to need a really good internet connection because of the fact that all the communication is is online. But apart from that, like there's no other real system requirements that you need. Everything that you will need to download and any languages that you'll have to work with and all of that will be given to you once you enroll, and will be briefed to you in more detail in that call that you have with our admissions team. So they will kind of tell you everything that you're going to have beforehand and all the prerequisites, which aren't a whole lot actually. It's just like all the languages you have to work with, and then you're pretty much good to go.
Beautiful. If you're just joining us or you're curious, our guest today is Zara from Metana, and you can find Metana online at Metana, METANA.io. And they've got great information about all the things that Zara was talking about there. You can find all their boot camps under a heading on the website. You can also find their Not Sure, Take Our Career quiz at this handy dandy drop down that you'll find right at the very top right here. And it looks like there are a variety of different boot camps. So one of the other rapid fire questions I wanted to ask you, Zara, was about cost and whether or not you offer any kinds of scholarships or discounts, or if there's a way that folks can try this offering before they buy it.
Yeah, sure. So we do have a couple of different financing options. I mean, of course, there's the main option that we have is pay up front. So that's the easiest option. A lot of our students actually go with that because it's kind of like a one and done. You don't have to worry about that after. So there is the pay up front option. Apart from that, we also have our installment schemes where you pay your deposit, and then after that, for the duration of your course, so that's either if you choose the 4-month course, which is the advanced course, it'll be a monthly rate over the course of those 4 months. And if you choose one of our bundle courses, which is where you're a complete beginner and you want to first learn full stack and then jump into Web3, then it'll be a 7-month duration. But then you can break it up into little chunks and pay over the course of that entire duration. The third option that we have, and this applies to US residents, is we have a partnership with Climb Credit. So if you want, you can apply for a student loan through Climb Credit, and then you can pay us based on the rates that they give you. But then those are the 3 options that we do have in terms of financing. I also want to put it out there that in terms of the investment. So a lot of people do actually worry about this because we do offer these courses at a cost. We're not a nonprofit, so just putting that disclaimer out there. A lot of people do ask, what if I don't want to continue it? What if something happens, in my life? What if I have an emergency? What if I'm not happy with the course? All of these things are kind of backed up with our job guarantee. And so let me tell you how this works. Every single course that you do with Metana is backed up with a job guarantee. Bold claim, I know, but let me tell you how it works. So the first way that we actually back up this job guarantee is with the job camp that I was telling you about. So the job camp is actually something which is built into the course, so you don't have to pay anything extra for it. It's built directly into each and every one of our boot camps. So right after you finish the first month of the boot camp or the first 4 modules, you're immediately put into the job camp. So your boot camp and the job camp run parallel. And the way that the job camp works is we've found that, and we've run a lot of these kinds of little social experiments, and we've looked at a bunch of different engineers' CVs and developers' CVs. And what we found was, unfortunately, sometimes when it comes to getting a job in the tech space, sometimes the problem is your CV, and sometimes the problem is the way that you're marketing yourself or the way that you're presenting yourself. Because you might be an absolutely fantastic developer, but your CV is 5 pages long with very irrelevant information.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I'm not reading a 5-page long
exactly.
And I'm not reading a 5-page long resume.
Exactly. I mean, and we've noticed that, it could be a resume that's really long. You, for some reason, put very relevant information out there, what you did in high school, before you talk about the most recent project you worked on. You've not mentioned the skills that you've acquired over the past couple of years. You're probably applying for a job as a front-end React developer, and you're mentioning something entirely different about some Python project you worked on in 2017. So we've noticed a lot of this. And then we've also noticed that in interviews, people don't know how to present themselves. They don't know how to carry the conversation. They don't know how to brag, because we are bragging about ourselves in interviews. They don't know how to brag about themselves and say, what they're good at and what they're passionate about doing. They don't know what their own brand story is. They don't know what their own story is. Then we found people don't know how to look for jobs the right way either, and they're looking in the wrong places. Sometimes they're really qualified and they're going for jobs that are really below par in terms of what they're looking for. Sometimes they're underqualified and they're shooting way too close to the stars. And sometimes they're just not looking for the jobs that match their level of expertise. And when that happens, you're setting yourself up for a lot of disappointment. So we've taken all these different problems and we've packaged it into this job camp, which is where we give you the solution to all of this. And it's not just where we give you a guide and say, here, this is how you solve the problem. That's where our career coaches come in, and they will sit with you on like multiple times a week. They will do multiple check-ins with you. They will sit with you on call, and they will tell you how to optimize each and every one of these things. So they will give you constant career coaching. They will do several mock interviews with you. They will hold your hand as you start applying for jobs. They will hold your hand as you apply for interviews. They will look at your CV, tell you what kind of CV you need to send to each of these different places. And they're basically, when you talk about guardrails, Will, these guys act as like the biggest guardrail that you can imagine, because they're always there telling you, don't do that, but do this.
Yep.
Don't do that, but do this. These are the people you need to connect with. These are the people that you need to talk to. These are all the things you need to do to stand out as a professional. So that's kind of step one. Sorry?
So on that point as well, do you all, let's say you have a student who's particularly bright, talented, impressive in a number of different areas. Since your organization, the people in it have so many connections to Google, to other Web3 companies, a whole bunch of places where people would potentially want to work, is there like a networking path as well? Is it's like, hey, I know this person, I know that there's a position, I know you'd be a good fit, let me make that introduction there and kind of streamline that? Because in my experience in my career, the most important thing is, yes, you have to be qualified, you have to know your brand. That's killer. I'm so glad that you said that. The other thing too is, who do you know? Who do you know? Do you know somebody who knows somebody, right? So is there a path forward in that direction as well, in that door?
Yeah, definitely. So that's actually where all of our partnerships and all come in as well. We have connected with so many different people in the industry, both in Web3 as well as in other large companies as well. Like I mentioned, some of our experts and most trusted advisors come from companies like Google and Amazon. So we have made a whole lot of connections with different people. We've also started to build, and we've been building rather this little pool of hiring partners. And even right now, currently, our CEO is abroad and he's meeting a whole lot of different people. Next week, we will be at the Super AI conference in Singapore, and we'll be connecting with a bunch of people there as well, because we do believe that those connections are important. And we have built so many connections as a company. And one of the main reasons for that is so that our students have a place to go and they have places that they can connect with as well. So we have a pool of hiring partners that we're building. We're also constantly trying to build more and more community events and community initiatives with different companies, especially in the Web3 space, so that we're kind of establishing Metana as a trusted source of really good talent. So when there are applications that come in with the Metana badge on it, these companies know that's good talent. Like, we work with them, we trust them, we know that these guys have trained up these developers to exactly that right standard that we're looking for. So they're pretty, they're pretty trusted when it comes to them jumping into a new job at one of these places. So it's a lot of connections that we build. We're constantly trying to get one of the facets of the job camp is teaching our students as well on how to make these connections themselves also. Because while we can make those initial introductions, while we can kind of act as this kind of like proof and this little trust, this little basis of trust when they do go and apply at other places, they also need to have these skills for themselves in the future when they move on from this company that they're currently at to the next one. So we teach them how they can start reaching out to people. We tell them what kind of communities they can join, what kind of conferences they can go for in their local area, what kind of meetups they can join. And we actually know a lot of people as well who are running these meetups, like in small areas in, let's say, Bangkok, or in little areas in London. We know who runs these meetups, and we know that we can make an introduction if need be. And we know that these are also organizations that welcome people like this to come in for their events, because they have a bunch of different networking opportunities there also. So those are some of the ways that we kind of, bridge that gap, because in terms of connections and networking, that is kind of where we bring both sides of those stories together.
It's killer. A lot of people are excited about this in the comments. This is exactly why I wanted to have you on. And I do have one more question from our friend Palmer, who is just curious. You mentioned assistance programs, and that's something we didn't get a chance to talk to, but depending on where you live, the site says you might qualify for government programs to help pay. Is that something that in that initial call or onboarding phase, I think you had mentioned to me that somebody would kind of help you figure out, right? That's the best way is take the quiz, get on a call, start talking about it. Yeah.
Exactly. So for example, if you're a US resident, you can apply for a climate credit loan, which I think is a little bit more on the loan side of things. There's also in certain states of the US, I believe that you can get grants from Fortify, but that is not something that's applicable to it's not a blanket application to everyone in the states. So it does kind of depend in certain regions as well where you come from. But climate credit, I believe, is something that applies I think nationwide for you guys. But apart from that, if you are thinking of one of those options, those are things that you can discuss with us on during the admissions call, because we've got a lot of people who've come in and we do understand, we have enough empathy to understand that, okay, you're probably you do want to enroll, but you can't join the June cohort, or you can't join the July cohort because you can't afford it at the moment. You're waiting on a loan to get approved, or you borrowed some money from someone and you're waiting for it. You're waiting for something, some stipend to come in from the government or something like that. And we get it, we'll wait, we'll push you forward for the next cohort, or we'll put you on a wait list. But we do understand that, and these are things that you can definitely discuss with our admissions officers as well, so that they understand exactly what kind of background you're coming from and what we need to expect and what you can also expect from us.
Well, I saw you in the chat. Go.
Do you accept crypto as payment?
Yeah, we do.
Well, crypto.
I absolutely love it. And here's my personal question is, Zara, maybe we can expect some kind of educational collaboration in the future? Maybe we can cook something up for the Rise Up audience, or we can come over there and talk to your folks. Yeah,
we would love that. We would absolutely love that. And we'd love to do something completely, we can create something, completely free of charge. We can do a couple of workshops. We can do a series. We can create some tutorials together. There's a whole lot that we can do, actually. And we would absolutely love to be a part of the Rise Up family. You guys are such a vibe. And I love the audience. It's such a vibe as well.
And Zara came on the show and she said, is there do you think anybody might ask a hostile question? And I was like, you know what, Zara, I totally understand the concern. It's a live show on the internet, but I got to tell you, our people are really, really nice. They're awesome. They're cool. Yeah. I always joke to everybody when I talk about come to the show, come to the community. I always say the only thing missing is you, but that's girl, we've been missing you and now you're here. We're so glad about it.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Okay, so
you have been adding a very, very good voice that honestly we've kind of been missing and needed, just from the developer standpoint. Because I'm not a developer. Neither are Evan and Alex, but they're both a little bit closer than me. At least Alex is. Alex's dad is a developer. That's the closest we've gotten. So you being able to be a voice for that part of our audience and to offer support and services and a path forward, is such a huge help. Because also we want to make changes in our career. It's so hard to do that.
Speaking of voices, one of the top comments you've gotten is Zara has a very soothing voice. So maybe the radio pivot was part of your timeline all along. Yeah.
Okay, man, so maybe I should just join the Rise Up family on a daily basis.
You could be our official correspondent.
I just need you to have a maritime-based costume.
Yeah, you just need a costume.
Don't worry, I have 19 in the closet.
Okay, ship one over to Sri Lanka. I'll get the costume.
All right, I'll send it over.
Okay, if you want to find out more about Metana, check out metana.io and take their assessment. It's right at the top of their webpage. You can see all the different boot camps that they offer. You can get connected with someone to ask a question. And if you have a question for Zara, then don't hesitate to follow up with us. You can also find them at Metana HQ over on X. And before we let you go, Zara, do you have a final thought, a question, suggestion, or word of wisdom for the audience?
Oh, damn. Evan, you're asking someone who has like a billion thoughts running through her head on a daily basis at every given moment. But I think if I was to leave you with a final thought, one, I'm getting very distracted. I'm kind of just looking at the TikTok, and I'm seeing so many questions come in, and I would love to answer them all.
Do you want to do a couple rapid fire questions? I actually forgot a question that's very important to ask you from our good friend Tori, who wanted to know, what is your background? Is that green stuff moss? Is it grass? Is it glitter?
I actually did see that question, and when you said, do you have any do you have any comments you want to leave with? I was like, I have such an important thing to say. But actually, it's not moss. Do you guys want to take a guess as to what it really is?
I think it's astroturf, like fake grass.
It looks like you just went to a golf course and just cut off a section.
Yeah, I did actually. So my morning was going to a golf course and basically hacking away at it, because I thought, hey, we all need to start our morning with a little bit of crime. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, a little bit of crime.
This is a gross
nice.
It is astroturf. This is actually in our office. So yeah, this is our little setup for whenever we do our events and all of our little podcasts. But yeah, that's what it is. Very important question. I hope I have made you guys happy by answering that. I mean, I think someone else also did ask something about a promo class with Rise Up. I did mention something like that. Evan did as well. I mean, we gotta wait and see. You never know.
Yeah,
tuning into the show.
I told Zara, I said, before we do anything like deep together, the first step is you got to come on the show. You got to meet the audience. You got to see if you enjoy them and get their questions, get their feedback, start a relationship. And I think it's going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. I'm really grateful.
This was Metana's and my first date with the Rise Up morning show, and I think it went well.
I think it went great, and there'll be a second date.
Yeah, my mother
so
approves.
Happy.
Thank you so much, Zara, for making time to join. Yeah, it is. It's Alex.
My dad.
I was gonna say, our mother is Joe.
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot of mothers and fathers and grandmas and grandpas and friends and cousins in the audience. People who really feel like
love
family.
Love that.
And we're glad to have you be a part of it. So thank you so much for making.
Thanks so much, guys. Evan, thank you so much for plugging all of our links, guys. If y'all do want, y'all can check out metana.io. Right at the top of the page, you'll see if you've really been encouraged by everything that I've been saying, and if you're enthusiastic, there's a little green book a call button that you'll see on the top right. If you want to book a call, you can go book a call almost immediately and schedule some time to speak with one of our admissions officers. You can say that you came from the Rise Up Morning Show. That'll help us to do more stuff with you guys, because we would absolutely love to. You'll all pass the vibe check. But yeah, y'all could go check out the career quiz. You can book a quick call with us. You can also follow us on our Twitter. I think I shared the link over with Evan. If you just want to be a part of the conversation, if you just want to hang out. I've also shared our Discord. I think that Evan, we're putting all of these links later on in the YouTube description. So maybe y'all can follow us there. That's where we are right now on Twitter. But yeah, do stay in touch. Y'all can reach out to us anytime. You might be able to find me as well on LinkedIn if y'all would like to say hello and have a chat. I don't know how I'm going to get that link across.
Just send it over to me and I'll bump it in the description and put it as a little Easter egg for our friends in the Discord community. Okay?
Sure thing. You guys can come have a chat with me if there's anything that y'all want to clarify, or if y'all just want to talk a bit more. But yeah, it's been such a blast, you guys. I've had a really great evening, because it's evening here, but that's morning for you guys.
We always say it's morning somewhere. You know, whether you listen morning, noon, or night, rise up. So thank you very much.
And thank you so much for
seeing you soon.
Thank
okay,
you.
ladies and gentlemen, that's Zara.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye for now, my friend. We'll see you
Have a
soon.
good one, guys.
You too. Ladies and gentlemen, monsters and machines, people and creatures of all ages, this seems like a good time to remind you that if you are interested in getting Zara's LinkedIn, if you're interested in asking her a question, connecting more closely with us, with the members of our community, the place the show lives 24/7 is the Rise Up Discord server, discord.gg/riseup for now. We're also working on a permanent forever home for our community on a new platform, but stay tuned. All the announcements about that will be coming to the Discord audience first. You can find all the links to our socials, to our Discord server, to our free Web3 glossary, to whatever we've got cooking, like our staking link with Marinade, our Coinly link, and so much more at theriseupmorningshow.com. Will, could this be the pivot? Are we about to become coders? Dude.
I mean, I will need the most intensive handholding that Metana.io will have ever experienced in their lives to get me to be a good coder. But I do feel like if anybody could get me to do that, it is them. Because I mean, you know, I look at, and I know Zara's still in the backstage. She can hear me. So, but these are all going to be great things for me to say because you have like the self-service capability, right? You can consume as you need to. But you also have that self-service customized based on like the survey that you have. So you're not just getting like the cookie cutter class, you're getting a class designed for you and your needs and your bandwidth and all that kind of stuff. So that's also great. And you have the ability to get coaching, get conversations with folks that like, hey, I'm stuck here. This code isn't working. I'm confused by this lesson. I need help. And that would also be like 3 times better than the first course I took 5 or 6 years ago now at this point.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're like, okay, cool. Now that you've passed, you want a job? Because I mean, if anybody's been in the job market over the past few years, if you're do it alone and you're just like on LinkedIn, just like throwing your resume into these piles of 500,000 other resumes for a job that actually closed last month, you know, like you can put in like 1,000 resume submissions and maybe you hear back one time. Like you need help. You need someone fighting for you in your corner, whether that is a search agent, or that's Metana acting as your search agent, opening up doors because they have those connections, right? So that's the other big critical piece. You can have the knowledge, but if you don't have help getting into the job, you're not going to get the job. So it's really nice. I was just going, I was like, this is the white gloved hand holding service for becoming a developer or a Web3 developer and getting a job.
Yeah. And I want to be clear that the Rise Up Morning Show is not sponsored by Metana, but after that conversation, I kind of think we should be. I think they are a great potential partner. And I do hope that if you check them out, you'll let us know what your experience is like, what you think about it. Because Zara is obviously lovely. But what I would be worried about personally is like getting, you know, Zara and then getting in a call and getting into the classroom and then finding out like, oh no, my teacher is like a straight up dev who's like, you know, speaks in solidity and then I'm really scared and I don't know where it's going. I don't think that's probably the case.
Probably not.
But I would like some feedback from folks who do check it out. We saw a lot of comments scrolling by. I can't wait to try this. I'm going to check it out. If that's you, then leave us a comment wherever you listen or jump in the Discord and let us know what you think. I'm sure Zara would really value that feedback too. Will, we've got a whole show to do still before we ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset, but we only have so much time. So I would love to defer to you. I have 1 or 2 things I thought we might get into, including Telegram NFTs, but what are you thinking about this Monday morning? What's got your eye? And as you listen to us in the comments, yes, you, let us know what you're thinking about, what questions you have. Brother, what's going on this Monday?
Well, this Monday you have U.S. and China talking about trade talks. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes out of that, because it could be maybe good, it could be maybe shit. We'll find out how that goes. We're also going to get wholesale inventories data. That's a forward-looking macro indicator for the market, guys. So what that measures is it measures the amount of goods being held within warehouses by companies. So that's important because it gives you insight as to how much demand for those goods in the future that they are foreseeing, right? So if they think there's going to be really low demand, they're going to have low inventories. That could be a sign of a slowing economy. Now, inventory levels should still be pretty high because people were buying a ton of inventory ever since the election up until March before the tariffs happened to make sure they had products beforehand. So it's going to be very interesting to watch that and see how these tariffs are affecting those. Otherwise, I think we get CPI data later this week. Yeah, we get CPI inflation data on Wednesday. So again, another little tea leaf for us to read in order to figure out what we're going to do about rates. By we, I mean Jerome Powell and the Fed. And then we get PPI inflation data on Thursday. So we get 2 bits of inflation data Wednesday and Thursday. That's important for the market. Those are things that I'm keeping my eyes on. But the most impactful thing would be anything coming out of the US-China trade talks. That's the most pressing. And that's today at some point. So just keep your eyes open for news.
Dude, what a missed opportunity it is for Jerome Powell to like do the retirement arc and start a punk band called Powell and the Fed. Wouldn't that be the hardest band name ever?
That would be pretty good. Yeah, and then it's just like him screaming at you, be like, "Do you want rate cuts? You want to go get them?" I don't know, something where it's just like,
you gotta fight. You're right to reduce interest rate. I don't know.
Fight, reduce inflation. I don't know. We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it.
Yeah, we'll workshop it. Check this out, man. My friend Mahir, shout out to the Faceless Labs Situation Room, posted a little story this morning. He's always saying, you know what'll be like bull run top signal for me is if NFTs come back. And he posted an article this morning. I say an article, but it was really a thread from this user EGHLAUAUU, who was talking about Telegram gift NFTs. And this is the first time I heard about it. But the reason I wanted to share it on the show is because, you know, we do a lot of our streaming on TikTok and people will send us interactive gifts. If you're not a TikTok watcher or listener, then you can buy these coins with your real money to send your favorite influencer or live streamer a little rose or a little pair of cool animated sunglasses, or in the case of our friend Solemn Spartan, an entire galaxy. The gifts are fun, they're wacky, they're wild, and it's a novel kind of way to show appreciation. And apparently Telegram has them too. But Telegram takes it up a notch because you can make your gifts official, or is I believe the term they use. I might have to find it, which essentially means you can add them to the blockchain. You can mint them. And what network is Telegram using? Well, the Ton network, of course, their proprietary blockchain. And we've talked about this on the show before. Famously on Rise Up After Dark, we at the top of Ton signed it an A grade, indicating we would spend more time and attention on it before they're
and then arrested. It was either the very next day or 2 days afterwards. The founder and CEO of Telegram was arrested. And we were just like, oh, man, this is not good.
Dude, it was not our finest moment. But Telegram, nonetheless, has a tremendous amount of users. And so their blockchain is well positioned if you are somebody who is interested in speculating to get into, because, you know, the users are there. Like, over 1 million people could be onboarded to Web3, kind of like Reddit did. So here are the quick numbers for it, though. Telegram NFTs, Elastar says, are on fire. These gifts that you can mint are doing 10x, 100x, even 2000x. Upgrades is the name of the feature called, to put your gifts on the blockchain. And the community has recognized a collection called Plush Pepes as sort of the OG gifts. One person paid $7.50 for a Spinny Boy NFT, which is a picture of like a signet ring with a cat on it, that recently sold for $15,000. That's a 2000x, and that's absolutely wild. So,
that's crazy.
I mean, Mahir is posting it to say, like, this could be an indicator that we're going to have a local top soon. But I was just curious what you thought, Will. Do you think we're going to get to see something like this from TikTok ever? When TikTok chain, gifts on chain?
I think we'll get that in 4 years.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it's going to be about 4 years before we get that. But it'll come. It's going to happen. However, I don't think that NFT story is the top yet, because everyone would be hearing about and talking about NFTs again, and that's the first time I've heard about it. I'm pretty plugged into the space, so, you know, I think there's a little bit of NFT hype to go before that happens.
Yeah, plus
But
you
I-
got that old mutant ape you're hanging on to.
I do have that mutant ape. I have it, and you know what? I'll hold on to it for forever, unless, of course, my theory holds up, which is when Ethereum gets really hot, assuming it does, of course, knock on wood. Ethereum gets super, 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 super hot. You're going to have greed take over the markets, and people are going to say, hey, how do I get more Ethereum? They're going to look back at those old Ethereum-based NFTs and try to use that as a way to compound upon their Ethereum gains. And then you'll see the old Ethereum NFTs go up, not because they are valuable, not because most of those brands have done anything useful, most of them haven't, but because human greed will drive people to try to compound upon their gains. And I'm hoping I'll just be sitting there as an incredibly underwater mutant ape holder from years and years and years ago. To just try to, I will unequivocally be one of the salty bag holders. I would be happy to dump on all of you. By dump, I mean give you an amazing picture of a mutant monkey with a frog tongue.
Yeah. Other news that I have seen is that Poly Market has become the official betting market of X. And as Jesse Wells, that TikTok folk singer, said, our billionaire daddies are fighting. Do we have an update in the latest drama between Trump and Elon Musk? I don't know what it is about Thursdays, but everything happens after the show goes off the air, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. But no, they deleted all their tweets. They deleted their stat tweets is what I saw. Need to verify that. But yeah, it seems to be like they're taking it private. I don't know.
Somebody get a fact check
Elon,
yourself, brother.
Elon and Trump aren't exactly private people. So, yeah. We'll have to see. But I haven't seen anything really new about it. I haven't seen anything new.
Man.
And, I had something I was going to add to that. What was it? Darn it. My dolphin brain.
Got that dolphin brain going on?
Don't
worry. Oh, I was going to give you a little EEE, but my soundboard misfired. Here you go.
Thanks, man. I got to reload that onto my soundboard. I forgot.
Do you? Yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of sounds Alex gets on his board, or maybe he will just decide to die on that hill and not do it. Some other news as we round close to final thoughts. AIOZ is launching their own AI play. Strategy and Michael Saylor added 1,045 Bitcoin for $110 million last week. And Argentine President Javier Milei has been cleared of misconduct over his promotion of the Libra meme coin. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I know. It's like 2
4
months
years
ago, but it feels like forever. Yeah.
And I feel like forever ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
We have a good question from Karen who asks, do you guys think that the Trump-Musk fight is a play? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard to believe anything is what you think it is now, which just makes it difficult to really pay attention to any news headline. Because I feel like there's a small possibility that it is some kind of an orchestrated play where it was either a distraction from something else that had happened, which is something that seems to be a card they like to play a lot, or it was them trying to cause some chaos in markets, because we do know that Trump wants to increase or decrease rates on bonds. The traditional way to do that is you cause panic in markets to make people dive into bonds. I'm not quite sure what the effect has been. I've been at a wedding past few days and celebrating with family and all that, so I haven't looked at what the rates on bonds currently are. So there's that potential tinfoil hat speculation that you have, that this is all designed, right? But at the same time, if you look at the track record of both Trump and Musk, like they, particularly Musk, because Trump is a genius marketer. He is. No matter what you feel about him, no matter how I feel about him, he's a genius marketer, and he's also a reality TV star. He's very, very, very good at using headlines to manipulate things, markets, to get a favorable position for whatever it is that he wants. So Trump could definitely be trying to do this. It'd be in his wheelhouse. For Musk, I feel like no. I feel like he's very much so like, I'm super rich. I'm going to do what I want. I don't care what anybody has to say. And he's been like that when, we all looked at him as just the Tesla guy and then the rocket guy. And he was very much so that when he was like, well, now I'm, a part of the Republican Party basically guy. And now he's just kind of in the middle. I feel like he just kind of like walks his own path, and he's rich enough to the point where he doesn't have to worry about, much external forces having to pull him in any which way he doesn't.
But Elon is a brilliant marketer too, and he is on the record as having said the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. He's also said the most ironic outcome is the most likely. But he gave a speech, I think, to Tesla, to some audience of Tesla people, and he compared Earth to like an alien Netflix series trying to have the highest possible rating. And he said, if you think about it, that's kind of what happens, that you wouldn't want to have a show with a bad narrative. Things go up and down. We just have to keep the ratings up kind of deal. So the most entertaining outcome.
Trump's a TV man. And a lot of the people he hired were also TV people. I mean, in his cabinet and stuff are all people who have like experience on TV.
I will say, I do think
totally fit.
It's unlikely that they would be able, such high profile, powerful people, to coordinate an effort like that in a like secret, clandestine way, especially with the help of other people, considering like the incentive for someone to leak information. I mean, if you had credible inside information that this was a manufactured thing, you could sell that for a lot of money to a lot of people really quickly. So I don't think most people would be able to keep mum. The incentive would be to spill the beans.
I don't know. I feel like you have that much power and money, you can figure out a way.
Power and money and power.
Money and power.
If you've got a lot of... Is that Arnold?
Yeah, it was Arnold.
Arnold coming out of your mouth in a dolphin suit. You got more Arnold in there? That was actually a really good Arnold. I heard like 3 syllables, but give me a little more.
There it is. You want to hear about the Arnold?
Okay.
How about you put on your dolphin fins and start being a little girly man and go out there and lift some weights and fuck up some sharks? Are you not entertained?
Okay, if you've got a question, prediction about Elon and Trump, if you've got a really good Arnold impression or something else for us before we ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset, then please do let us know. Ale Ta says, Musk's biographies have record of this type of behavior, unhinged and willing to go to physical fighting. And Real Ice Bear says, get to the choppa. The classic. Oh, my
beautiful.
goodness. Once again, I do want to remind you that thanks to our friends at Polygon who are powering the Rise Up Morning Show, we have got a stacked lineup of guests this week. Tomorrow on the show, well, actually, fact check me before I totally wreck myself. Tomorrow on the show, we've got a Shwari Gupta coming from Polygon. He is heading up DeFi right now, bringing all the information to the DGens on chain to make it possible to speculate on lots of fun stuff, tokenized real world assets, etc., etc. Wednesday, we've got Lewis Chunky Edwards of FSL. You might know them from the Steppen token. They've got a big announcement before the show that he's going to talk about with us on the air. And Wednesday, we also have Crypto Texan Justin from Katana. Yes, that Katana, the platform, which is currently participating in a big old airdrop for Paul Stakers.
Big old airdrop.
He's going to come on the show, and I know you're going to have a lot of good questions for him. Then Thursday, we've got our friend Blake from Myosin coming back. We had a lot of demand after the last episode for him to spill the beans on what it was like to work with Ripple Labs, separate some of the hype from reality. So he's going to do that. And then we've got Dr. Adam Lowe, one of the co-founders of Arculus, the cold storage wallet, coming to the stream at the top of the next hour. So it'll be...
We got a full week, man.
Yeah, and William Quigley's coming back for After Dark. After we had him on the morning show, we were like, listen, man, this isn't CNN. It's not MSNBC. We need you to, like, let your hair down, bring something to drink, and bring the smart and spicy takes that we know you for. So William Quigley is coming back to the After Dark show to let it all hang out. You definitely...
Coming back after... He's hit the gym.
He's hit the gym.
He's hit the social media gym. He's coming in unbiased, unfiltered, hopefully drunk.
Could you imagine if William Quigley just like
he's just
staggered
hammered.
it?
He's just like, let me tell you another thing about those folks. I'm just like, we're all just like,
Yeah. Well, he'd be like, well, why you got 3 heads and a dolphin? But I digress. This is a really good final thought suggestion. You guys should sponsor a student coder and track their success in Metana.
That'd be fun.
Love it. Love it. We could have a fun
Good idea.
gauntlet, fun scholarship funded by the Rise Up Morning Show. Will, what about you? You got a final thought for the audience? You got a prediction? You got another impression hanging out inside that brain of yours?
My take on the market is I still am worried about that gap at 92K, but my personal opinion is any big gaps, any big dips that we get, I mean, are ones to buy. On the monthly time frame, I am bullish. So if we get a big dip, I think it's one for buying. You know, what happens on the daily and weekly, what happens on the daily, I'm not too concerned about. What happens on the weekly, concerned. What happens on the monthly, very concerned. Monthly looks good to me. So any big dips, I am here to buy. And I'm specifically buying Bitcoin and Solana.
My question.
As of right now. In fact, I buy $10 of Bitcoin every single day, just like coffee money. Like, why not? And I now recently added $10 of Solana to that daily dollar cost average as well. So I have that going, and then I have my big old fat bag of stable coins. So, and I have my big old fat bag of Bitcoin, and that just kind of chills and it's ever so slightly bigger every single day. And you know, here's my final thought. And I keep going back and forth with this, where it's like, I think I want to just take my stable coins and just like throw them into Bitcoin and Solana and stake it, and then have like a very, very much smaller amount of my portfolio to be maybe like 10% only, and just go into like 3 different altcoins or so and do my little trading strategy there. And otherwise just like Solana, stake, Bitcoin, get bigger. And, you know, because I personally find that I have a little bit less time focused on my trading as I used to, because I'm like more focused on creating content and education and helping people and working on the show and stuff, and my other job too. So I'm like, okay, I have a little bit less time to manage my investments in trading like I used to. I need to condense this and make this even simpler. So those are the things that are going through my head. Other than that, the other thing too, guys, is I know if you're watching me on YouTube or Twitter, this banner you're seeing right here, coin_guide, this is my name on TikTok, but it is currently broken. My backup account, which I am building, so I'd appreciate follows, engagement, all that stuff, is currently dolphin_coin_guide. If my account, my original account, coin_guide, is just going to be permanently broken by the end of this week, if it's not back, then we will transition dolphin_coin_guide to something a little bit more serious. I probably won't be named Coin Guide anymore at that point, because there's just so many scammer accounts out there doing Coin Guide already. There's like literally 500,000 of them, I feel like. So I'll have to think of a new name. But anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. So keep your eyes open for that at the end of this week, early next.
We do have a quick rapid fire question for you, Will. This comes from Mills. I'm sorry, pardon my old eyes. The weekly is overbought, but the monthly is still oversold. Thoughts?
I wish I knew what indicator they're looking at.
Oh,
so if I look at the stochastic RSI, monthly chart is fine. The weekly chart is overbought, but the stochastic RSI isn't a great top indicator. It's an excellent bottom indicator. So if something's overbought, you can kind of take that with a grain of salt. If I pull up the relative strength index, let's see what we got here as it loads. The relative strength index on the weekly chart is not in overbought territory. On the monthly chart, it is almost in overbought territory. So no, like we're not getting a top signal from the relative strength index. We are getting a top signal on the weekly chart for the stochastic RSI, but again, the stochastic RSI isn't the most reliable top indicator. So, you know, I'd be curious. Just remember, gaps get filled almost 99% of the time on Bitcoin's chart. There's only ever been one gap that hasn't been filled. It's a gap at 20,000. There is a gap at 92,000 there. There's also a gap on Ethereum's chart at $1,733. Ethereum is currently under key levels of resistance of the 200 simple moving average. If it cannot get above that, if it continues to struggle there, you're going to see a big move to the downside. However, if it's able to get above that, Ethereum's chart is just coiling right now. It's coiling. It's just been straight for like 3 weeks now. And when it makes a move, it's going to be a big one. It's below or above the 200 moving average. That's going to tell you which direction it's going to go. It's either going to go to $1,733, where there's a gap, or it's going to go to $3,237, where there's also a bullish gap. So Ethereum's chart is very interesting to watch. So anyway.
Beautiful. Karen says, ditch Starbucks, buy Bitcoin. And my final thought was going to be V Nizzle says, how's the band doing? For people who don't know, my fun fact is I am an entertainer and occasional actor and musician here in Memphis when I'm not on the Rise Up Morning Show. And I wanted to tell you guys something cool that this last weekend, when I moved to Memphis about 10 years ago, I was not playing music. I was rarely acting. I was working a W-2 job after a W-2 job, and I was just dying inside, man. And I was seeing a dancer who said to me one night, we should go see Tiffany Harmon play in the upstairs room at Ernestine and Hazel's. Ernestine and Hazel's is like Memphis institution, long time, been downtown, haunted building that used to be a brothel, used to be a general store, and now it's like a bar and burger joint that's been using the same grease since God knows when.
Love
and
that.
when you go upstairs to this upper room where this gal Tiffany played, you have to go up this like creaky sunken staircase. All the lights are off. There's graffiti everywhere. And Kim said yesterday about it, you wonder if you're in the right place when you go to the very end of this hallway and then the door opens to this like red lit brick walled bar with this old stylish hat wearing cowboy looking black fella named Nate, who has been there as long as the building. He's in his 80s, and he is as iconic as like Ernestine and Hazel's, the name itself. And it's Nate's Bar. And if you know, you know. And when I went there to see Tiffany Harmon and heard her voice in that room, it was like Memphis music was a character. And I said to myself, I have got to start playing music again so I can play this room. And then I started playing music again, but they had stopped doing it. And just this year, they resumed music. I got in touch with the booking manager and I got a date to play. And this last weekend, I played Friday, I played Saturday night, and it was like some of the best gigs I've ever had in Memphis in terms of the people who showed up, the ambiance of the night. The owner of the bar was there on Saturday, and I got to thank her personally for hosting music in that space and tell her the story of how it had moved me to start playing music again. So for the folks wondering how the music is going, it's at a local top for sure, and it might be the peak of the bull run. So, you know, buy the dip when it sells. But thank you very much for asking. And if you happen to be in Memphis this weekend, you can catch the Breakfast Club, my 80s band, at a place called Lafayette's, just as iconic.
Everything that you do is like very morning themed. The Rise Up Morning Show, the Breakfast Club.
I didn't notice that, but I guess it is. Maybe that's my thing. I don't know.
You sell
I'm
a
the
coffee
morning
mug?
guy. That's me, baby. And if you want to check that all out, you want to check us out, then the riseupmorningshow.com, that's the place for it. If you come to Lafayette's and you know me from the morning show, it's happened before. Somebody in Lafayette's one time was like, "Are you Evan who talks about crypto?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And so if that's you, then come find me. We'll sing some Bon Jovi together and then talk about Bitcoin. And
that hasn't happened to me yet. I haven't been recognized in public yet.
Oh, you haven't?
For Trey Lance. Trey, you're watching this. You recognized me at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, and I spent time talking to like his dad and his uncle and his nephews and stuff. And I was just like, "Oh, these guys are great." So it's happened once, but that was at a crypto conference, so it's never happened yet. So I'm jealous. But dude, I love getting a little bit of Evan lore. You know, just like learning a little bit of Evan lore. It's just I'm just like, oh, what's happening now? And dude, I think that's beautiful, man, to have that like round circle. That's a hell of an achievement, dude. So good luck.
The hosts of the Rise Up Morning Show have some interesting lore. If you want to hear my music, you got to come see it in Memphis. I don't really do a lot of music online, only crypto. I want to give as a final thought, two things. The first is our friend Brett McKenzie says, it's been a while since I tuned in. It is great to see that the Rise Up Show is still the standard in Web3 news and information. And hey, as my real closing thought, I want to remind you one more time that while our friend Alex is out, if you want to make a difference that'll go beyond whatever silly token is taking up, dust in your portfolio, then check out Lovable Paws Rescue.org. This is the shelter that Alex has contributed to building to saving dozens and dozens of dogs in the last 10 or so years, and they accept cryptocurrency donations. It would make a real difference while Alex is off the show saying goodbye to one of his furry friends if all of you said hello to Lovable Paws, showed them some interest, shared them on Facebook with your friends. They do fantastic work, and they do accept cryptocurrency donations. You can check them out at lovablepawsrescue.org. And if you ever find yourself near the Georgia-South Carolina border, I am sure you can get in touch with Alex and volunteer to scoop some poop or feed some pups at the rescue. Stay tuned for Rise Up IRL at the dog shelter. We got to do that. I think
we will help you. We'll tell you to scoop poop. We won't help you.
You got to get like a hot dog contest, and we'll cook dogs. We'll have dogs and dogs.
We do have to have a hot dog contest.
We do have to have a hot dog contest. And if we do, you'll be the first to know about it right here, wherever you are, whenever you listen on Rise Up. Thank you, my friends, for being the very best part of what we do. Come back and see us tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, everybody stay safe, be well,